There it goes. It's going to take a second. So let me just kind of monitor it on my phone. But it's just a conversation. If you've watched the show before, it's a conversation. You can ask questions, as well. Whatever you feel, whatever's going down. But we'll let me just clear the. There we go. Yeah, we're on. Here we go. Yeah. So, all right. This is our second show of the day. We have a new friend in town that comes highly recommended. I don't even know which sister gave me your name, but
I think it was from Guardians of Gaia. And then Stephanie Elaine. I work with Stephanie
oh,
Elaine.
Stephanie. Okay, yeah, maybe it was her.
Like,
Well, what I'm finding is all these sisters that are coming on, they're all connected to each other. That's what's pretty amazing.
the
But
unseen net.
let me just make a couple of quick announcements. If you're watching this on Facebook, it is a replay. We're being shadow banned through the 27th of January, is what they're telling me. But we are live on YouTube and we are live on the X platform. But I do feel like there is a bit of shadow banning on YouTube as well. So I don't know. I think they're all kind of connected, but this all kind of started after we had a bunch of your sisters on around the solstice. And then I get this letter, and they're saying, hey, you put up child sexual exploitation images. I'm like, what? Show them to me. And they're like, we can't. And I said, when was it? They said 5 years ago. I'm like, okay. So I don't know. It's all energy, right? And you just keep on going. But we're pushing through. We're pushing through. So
But
huh? What's it?
that's a little projection from the system onto you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I've gotten a lot of heat over the years, but I never had a warning this strong. They told me, one more thing and you're gone. And I was like, okay, well, we'll start trying to develop some other platforms. So I've been working on that. Let me get this back up here. Okay. You can hear me all right? Everything cool there? Okay. So, all right, let's get started with our new friend. We're going to get to know each other. We're just going to be in front of a bunch of people. Anna Rose Ferris, by way of New York, Miami, and Northern California. Huh?
Anna
Anna.
Rose.
Anna
Yeah.
Rose. Anna Rose. And so, yeah, I don't know if you've ever, or my favorite question on the show is, did you have a wake-up experience, or have you always been this weird?
I didn't know I was this weird. I assumed everyone was this weird. But yeah, I'd say I went to about 29. I grew up in the Bay Area and went to New York in 97. Got a job in the internet, which was new, as an internet advertising sales manager. Well, salesperson, then sales manager. It sucked the life out of me, squeezed me dry, made me feel 100 years old. And at the end of 1999, fourth quarter, I accidentally met an Indian saint who came to my good friend Monica Merva, photographer, said, "Hey, I gotta photograph this Indian saint who's coming to New Jersey. Let's go do an overnight at the ashram." And I was like, "Okay, I'll do that." We show up, and I was like, "What?" They were chanting, and my whole system was like terrified. And she's like, "Okay, cool." We let them chant. Then we went in, spent the night, and we went to the early morning chant of Hari Om Tat Sat Jai Guru Datta, which is basically activates your inner GPS. And I went into that chant session and had the Kundalini experience, just crying my eyes out. Everyone's normal. I'm an internet advertising sales manager. Suddenly, like I didn't have any. I'm calling my yoga friends, like, what is going on? I woke up in the night for the next week. I woke up in the middle of the night and I'm sitting in my Manhattan apartment and I woke myself up sitting up in bed doing this. And I was like, what is going on? And then quickly thereafter, I bailed out of the internet job because that 1999, I was going to an acupuncturist, and It's like she plugged in my spine upward and downward. And I was like, this is magic. What is she doing? So I took all my stock money and jumped ship beginning of 2000, turn of the century. Went to acupuncture school. And also at the end of 1999, there was a school back in the day called the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. And it's an international school that took place in Miami, maybe like 800 people divided over 4 years of classrooms. And you would meet 5 times a year, and we would, learn about chakras and patterns of wounding patterns or whatever. So I got this huge activation at the informational weekend for that in 1999. So I was almost into acupuncture school, and this guy just facilitated what was it's like an imprint of an entire new meridian system in my body. And I was all, and then I was, turn of the page for the new millennium. And I was in acupuncture school and Barbara Brennan school and out of internet advertising. And it was fun in New York. So that's always fun.
Wow, that's all happening in the Big Apple. That's wild.
Yeah, and little did I know there would be a. Oh, it's funny. There's a lag, so I don't know you're talking. Sorry.
It'll go away.
Okay. Little did I know that 9/11 was coming.
Were you there when it happened?
Yes, not not there, but yeah, my roommate and I, the photographer, were asleep in Chelsea and got a call from her aunt or something. She's like, ah, and we were like, what? So we were tucked in safe at home, but it was a really powerful moment to be in New York. Powerful heart opening, powerful silence in the streets. And then I started my sophomore year in the clinic in the acupuncture clinic. So we were seeing, New Yorkers anchoring things, clearing traumas, learning about how all that works.
Wow. And in your journey, did you get like information of what's happening now? Like this awakening and the people.
Now?
Yeah, like like the discussions of ascension and just the different elements of what the last 12, 14 years have been for sure since 2012. It seems like it really turned on then. But I mean, did you have some kind of inkling of what was coming?
Well, everyone sees the 1111 portal. And for me, I really feel I've been doing this all behind closed doors. Like I did an acupuncture career on cruise ships. Got off, in 2015. And then I've been doing the stuff that I do that I'm not licensed in California, where I am now, to be an acupuncturist, and I'm done doing that anyway. So I just do energy stuff, consciousness, inner work. But I've been guided to work intensely with small groups, triads, on very specialized projects. And I just do what I feel. So I've been wondering, when is this going to happen? You know what I mean? In 1999, my friend. So there's a certain point where it's just like, okay, whatever. I just got to do what I feel. As long as I'm free to do that, great. I'll just play in the garden, basically, doing my little specialized group. So what blew my mind, blew it wide open, I get an invite to be on Guardians of Gaia on this last solstice. And everything that we had been creating in the small groups, specialized, was placed into the grids, particularly South America, where none of the groups I work with live. Not South America, the continent, Southern Hemisphere. So that was thing one, where it was like plugging your tongue into a light socket, and we were like, this is a lot. And then then I got guidance. You gotta put out the Wild Genome Project, which Wild Genome, important for this time because it is ancestral streams of supply, an organic technology from within your human form, supplied and sustained from within. Wild because it cannot be controlled or manipulated from the outside, from the financial systems that attempt to control us.
So is
So basically, on 1/1, we did the first part of that Wild Genome. On 1/11, we did the second. And then I get all of a sudden an invite from you to be on this. I don't normally broadcast through media channels what I'm doing. So I was like, this is very different for me. It's
well,
fine,
it
but
sounds
it's
like
very,
it sounds like it's synchronistic. So
yeah.
let me ask you two questions. One, you mentioned Guardians of Gaia, and I know this, but what is that? I know it. I probably know people in it. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah, that's Leanne Edwards.
Okay,
It's a
Leanne.
group.
I thought that's what it was. Yeah,
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 her channel is Earth Walker Global.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, she's been on about 3 or 4 times, and this is what I'm finding. All these sisters that are coming on now, they're all connected.
Yeah.
They're all connected to each other. It's like this is crazy, but I have to honor that. I mean, there's a reason for that. And then now this wild genome. This is very interesting to me. It's very intriguing. So if I'm getting it right, and correct me, you're there's a group of you. You're pulling in organic tech and anchoring it into the body, therefore the grid, the earth. And this technology is original and it's un-F-withable. It can't be messed with. That really resonates a lot because it feels to me like that's what's going on now, especially especially since the first. It feels like we are walking like in an impervious bubble, more and more so. And you know what I mean? Like our field is expanding, and that's pretty wild, especially when you start to have these group efforts, which are basically essentially merging the spheres of each one. You know, I've not heard about the wild genome, but that sounds
Again,
pretty. Yeah, sounds very prolific though. Now, do you have more of these things that you had on the 1st and on the 11th? Do you have more of these lined up, planned?
it, it will be three parts. So yes, at the end of the month on the 27th, Kaylin Castell is going to do the third part for us. So yeah, the first, yeah. Okay, so just housekeeping. I didn't realize how difficult it is to put a list of links on any of these grabby, technology. If I can put anything out into the collective, it is that technology outside of you is not advanced. It's not. It is grabbing you, it's stopping you, it's shutting up, it's wrapping you around. Sorry. So the wild genome is, as I saw it, now I just deal with what's in front of me. I don't ask for a lot of story because it's too much for my brain. So just right before this year started, it was this push from basically Andromeda. I worked a lot with Andromeda. The blue bees of Andromeda specifically, because we're in a co-evolutionary journey, bees and humans. So if you look at how bees are abused, this is very similar to how humans have been abused. Mic drop.
Yeah, yeah. Let's dive into this a little bit. So you pick up a lot from your connection to Andromeda, and that's a considerable part of where you get your guidance. And we all have our own recollections and such, and all the galactic stuff for me was kind of like, it was very organic at first, and then galactic started to come in and remember things here and there. But one of the things that I remember coming across as I went through different star systems was, and I'm not sure if I got this exactly right, but it's almost like when I came into this quadrant of the galaxy or whatever, the universe, it started in Andromeda. Like from Andromeda, then it went to other things, and eventually, and I always wondered about that. Are they like the great grandparent energies of this earthly incarnations? Do you feel?
Now, here's the thing. I really know nothing. I just navigate with my heart and my higher levels, and something gets put in front of me. I don't just work with Andromeda. I have a lot of Arcturian. I work with the cosmic dragons, the gnomes, the genomes. And what does it all mean? Is it all symbolic? I don't really care. I just keep going back to my heart and being like, okay, what is this? How does it feel? Do I resonate? Okay, yes. So the fact that I've been working with Andromeda energy, it just has been revealing itself in the last couple of years. Otherwise, it was like, oh no, those energies, right? Like I was living in a building in, let's say, Manhattan, called the Aurora, and the Aurora Friedman. The Aurora has those colors in the sky, but it's also a higher dimensional fae elemental. It's called, if you got to know Ascension Glossary. So what I do is I experience a lot of things in myself, and then outside I'll read about them and there'll be a resonance. So Lisa Renee at Ascension Glossary, I look up Aurora, and it's like, oh, the Aurora forces elemental command from Andromeda. And I'm like, ding, 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 we have a winner. And this is a fairy to me. If you look, it's hard to do you see, to me, fairies look like little blue suit people. So
Where is that?
I'm like,
Is it on the big
maybe,
painting? Oh no, you're
yeah.
other direction. Yeah.
It's okay. Here we go. Do you see the blue right there?
Oh yeah,
Right,
yeah.
it's like a little blue being with wings. To
And
me,
what it?
that's what a
Yeah,
fairy looks. So
yeah.
yeah, I don't get a bit. Here's what's
No, I got you. I
happening,
got you.
but
No,
yeah.
I can relate to what you're talking about. I just thought it was kind of interesting you mentioned that. Yeah, I can see that. And what is it with the blue? Like the blue is everywhere, and I don't know if that's Andromedan, Fae, Arcturian, all the above. I mean, it just seems to be the dominant color. That's as the days go by.
For me, blue has always been huge, and I do resonate with what Shekina Rose says about the Blu-ray souls. But for me, it's always been like if I were to wear a spacesuit, it would be blue, Star Trek blue, right? And for me, feel it like a gel, blue gel that is a biological substrate that receives the light and allows, as we're evolving our form, this blue gel allows the light to become a touchable experience. Because if we popped into a light body, we would be in a discontinuous experience with the human experience. If suddenly I was all light but you couldn't touch me, I would no longer be in your human experience. So my feeling is that this blue, which is so much love, is a biological receiver of pure light, a way that the light body can land in a touchable form and flow, it is no longer a static experience. So I talk a lot about the carbon to crystalline transition points, moving from the carbon form into the crystalline form, crystalline, right? So our carbon lineages, what we came in with in this limited, seemingly limited system that degrades, all those songs need to stop playing. And we're the ones as sovereigns that say, okay, I'm going to stop playing that inherited song, which is maybe a pattern in your love life, or who even knows. So you stop playing that song, and then the new songs will start, like a higher octave. And then, so turning on the wild genome appeared to me as you've got the golden genome, and I just see it like a fusilli pasta, right? And then all of a sudden, all these plugins, like other genomes plugging into the golden genome. It was so multidimensional. So to me, it felt like these are lineages like Arcturian, Myrrh, Fae, the she, right, the radiant ones. And you're human, but these are your star lineages. So and DNA to me is more of a family jewel, a color, frequency, geometry that is held in integrity, that then a flow from that ancestor, a living flow, can come in and support you. You are then them living in flow, right? So that bringing those flows online as a sovereign human, making the choice to remember your star DNA allows you, empowered, to disconnect from that which is siphoning your life force and attempting to control and manipulate, and bring in things that your star ancestors or your Fae ancestors or your Myrrh ancestors already have the body knowledge of that. So it's like, imagine if all the support you needed is just waiting to plug in, and you can make the choice to plug it in. So this wild genome thing, first we position it in the first video. It's like we just, as a group and in the grids with Guardians of Gaia, righted the DNA, righted the structure so that it's in integrity enough to plug these flows in. Okay? We always work at a table with multiple people because these energies are so huge, a single spine cannot embody them. Your spine has to sort of digest it as you embody more and more of these flows. And as something like a triad, 3 people that I work with a lot, holds the flow in integrity at the table. Also, we gather at a table, and that table is an inner organic source-based technology that morphs and brings us what we need. It anchors the codes in stone and holds them for us, just like a crystal. Like my crystals hold what I'm downloading until my biology can do it. So yeah, wild genome. Within that technology, this entire project has been about mostly women coming around the table as one from all around the world and sharing their multidimensional gifts freely and fully. So there is no charge at the table. It is a neutral space. So in part 2 of the Wild Genome presentation, what we did was we opened a space at the table for anyone watching it. The purpose of that is because a lot of people have a lot of higher dimensional gifts, and they don't have the support to land them, right? I had to find people who would sit with me to unpack this because I could not do it alone, literally. My form could not handle it. So what we're doing in part 2 is we're opening the table. We're holding a space for you. Every single human is sovereign, but a lot of people don't claim that. So you can step to the table, sit down as a sovereign creator, leave behind any, because healing will be a byproduct of what you create at the sovereign creator table. Then no one's working on your genetic material because there's a lot of trauma of our genetic material being disconnected. So what you're doing is you're coming to the table, you're sitting there, and we have all our gifts already on the table. And we're like, what are your gifts? And you'll pull something out just by sitting there. And we'll be like, oh, plug this in, plug it. It'll start to happen naturally. So you will be reclaiming your ancestral flows in an empowered, self-sourced way. That's it. That's all I got.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I mean, there's no question that this is a universally seeded environment. I mean, this planet is very, very unique in that regard, and there's a vast myriad of narratives and stories, and good, bad, and ugly, and whatever the case is. But ultimately, they're all held within this space, which is a very unique situation. So I'm listening to you and picturing all this, and I can feel it. It's like, because I can think of some personal experiences I've had in terms of how the body reacted to the things that were happening. I just had it happen to me on the last show at the very end. I thought I was going to have to lay down and faint for a minute, but it was things. To me, it's like things being turned back on inside of me. Those things are a part of us. They've just been turned off one way or the other. And so by this methodology, which I think speaks to, this is what I told Leanne and a few of the others, I thought, and this is an incredible gathering, a cell, on the earth of openness and everything that it offers. There's just too many words. And I wonder, how many is there? They must be all over the world. I mean, this is the guerrilla cosmic warfare that's under the radar, and just like that original tech, you can't mess with it. It's and that's what I'm seeing, especially as we came out of after the solstice and into this year. And without going into all that stuff, I would just point to a couple of things real quick. One is, I know that there was a masculine movement that occurred really from the last 3 or 4 months, it seems, but I was even told you're going to have 3 days of darkness on the last 3 days of the year, and this is kind of the final ringing out. And then also doing all these shows with these sisters that happened very organically, and they all lined up together, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing 14 in like 4 days, and it was all high frequency. So I could see that. I could see, just as you're speaking today and exemplifying, her voice is different now. It's 100%. It's like, hey, there's no BS here. We're not going to get mired in the muck anymore. Something comes up on a personal level, we deal with it. We know how to do it. We're not going to get stuck with it, and we're here to get this thing on now. At the same time, and I showed this image on the last show, but I've been doing this, and I've been monitoring the metrics on 3 different Soulogy platforms for over 12 years. And when I started in the groups that I joined about 1,000 groups that were empaths and starseeds and light workers and such. The ratio was 95-5. It's 95% female, 5% male. And then as the years went by, it would drop and drop and drop, and to where it got to about 70-30. Every time I would check things, it'd be 70-30, 68-32, or 72-28, in that range. In the last 28 days, it has done something incredible, at least on the two that I've checked, the two of the Soulogy platforms I've checked. It's 55% male and 45% female. Yeah, I can show it to you, which is my, yeah. And it blew my mind. Now, I saw it because I looked at it for a week and I thought, oh, well, I wonder, that's just an aberration. Now, this all happened right around the solstice, right around, we'll go back 28 days, right around the time all those sisters came on at the same time, which, as the individual goes, so goes the collective. As this group goes, so goes the collective. It's showing us something. So there's something to that. To me, there's something really big to that. And I'm looking forward to getting a few men on here. In fact, I've got a few lined up. I don't know them. They just happen organically, just like, these things do. So I really feel like something's going on here that's like we're on an, I hate to overuse the term, but we're on an ascending slope here. Like, I don't know, I think Leanne talked to this, Raylene talked to this. I know February 17th is when the year starts, the Chinese year, the fire horse. They talked about the solstice, the equinox, obviously, and then Easter. Like, we're ramping up to really come out, it feels like, which is interesting. Well, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel that way, or what are you saying?
Yes. I don't really know about the dates. I'm ramping up for a trip to New York, which I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled about all the groundwork that we've laid in New York for what's unfolding there, and how, as a global center, that will radiate out. That's a vision I've had for years. So what's going on there? Also, the idea of a normal, miracles becoming normal, because we're no longer on a linear trajectory. So something that you literally think is impossible, and you're like, "What happened?" So that's exciting. I also, this is just hot off the presses information, was making, Stephanie Elaine and I make a lot of codes together. And that symbol behind you with the two Taurus fields is very resonant with the code we just made, because what I saw, and this must have been a week ago, I took various images, and what I'm also feeling is it's very important, in the same way that we don't want to disconnect from the living stream coming from our star DNA. We also, when we're making a combined code, or we're creating at a table of multiple people, we want to show and recognize every person at the table and the living flow that they're bringing. And it's the same with the art, because just like your DNA being cut off, the living stream of that person's art gets cut off. So if you think about how the internet works and disconnects from the creator, I think that's interesting. So the code was this. It was a figure 8. It was a blood clearing code. A blood clearing code that is Stephanie's, that has the word song, which is French, meaning the past tense of sung. Clear the carbon lines. Clear the carbon bloodstream. So it was, I think, it was a table of men on one side. So if you think of the yin and yang symbol, there was a table of men, and the code for the Sisterhood of the Rose popped into the center of that table. Then there is the table we sit at, Sisterhood of the Rose, with a bunch of combined codes. And then the table of the male group, then went to the center of our table, and then it went into a figure eight. So for me, that's balanced power centers in neutrality. We've stepped out of duality. We're holding balanced power centers. So now, instead of teetotering back and forth, yin, yang, yin, yang, yin, yang, we're holding a balanced power center where just power flows through. We don't bounce back and forth like a ping pong ball. So I feel like I'm thrilled with what you're saying. 55% male. You're blowing my mind, because who knows what goes on in the man cave? I have no idea. And it really feels like that's by design. You got to honor what's going on in the man cave and just be like, they must be working on it. Because we're working on it. And now it's like, maybe it's time to be coming back in non-polarity and being seated at the table in different configurations. I mean, thrilling. 55, that's the number.
I can show it to you. But yeah, what you're describing with what you and Stephanie did and that whole group, and that, that's what I'm feeling. Look, I just got off that last show. I went on to kill a little bit of time, got my phone out, did a few things, and I was on the news feed. And I see something that I've been seeing for 14 years. And rightfully so. We already talked about the demographic makeup and throughout the evolution of it, which has been, our feminine, in form and otherwise, leading the way. But I got on and I saw two posts, one after the other, and it's this old narrative. It's basically, I'm just going to say it like it is. It's just throwing shit on him. Okay? If you're going to be with an awakened woman, then this is what, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I thought, there it is. That's going now. That's going. Because if I'm a man or I'm a woman and I'm looking at the gender that's really half of me, but I'm looking at it in a way of, hey, hurry up, guys, you're slow and stupid, or hey, women, you're crazy, or whatever the basis is, I'm the one that's perpetuating the old. So for me, I see these things like the thing that you just described, or what I've experienced with the women and all the shows, and then seeing the demographics change over 28 days, which is mind-blowing. It'd be one thing to see it go from 65 to 60, but this flipped. So that speaks to that. That speaks, you know what I mean? Yeah, it flipped. So it speaks to the conversion was made, like their sign went to your table, your sign went to their table. It speaks to the same thing if you think about it energetically. So I really feel like this is what's happening. I feel like that, there's still, from what I can see, and I know it's an echo, it's a ripple, victim consciousness. This war of the sexes was rooted, like everything else, in victim consciousness, right? And when we can realize that we were both subjected to the same thing, then it erases everything that's been muddy and hazy and cloudy in between us. We're subjected to the same thing. As much as, when I say her, I'm speaking of myself, I'm speaking of you, all of us, we know she was suppressed. She wasn't suppressed. He was suppressed. She was erased. So it's still the same thing, right? So I think what's happening is the masculine voice, the true masculine voice, which was the wild card, because there was so much focus on the divine feminine, rightfully so, mama's home, and this whole progression that's happened over the last decade or so. She stepped in. But at the same time she stepped in, guess what happened? Because his sign went to your table, your sign went to that table. The convergence occurred, and now we're on the other side, and it's going to take some while to get used to it. But my point is, there's a voice he has that's never been heard. Because he was the soldier. He was the one that had to sacrifice. And she did too, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like you said, we don't know what's going on in the man's cave. Well, we didn't know what was going on in the women's group, right? So there's a whole different, so I feel like it's coming together here. I feel like, and I've heard a lot of women say this in the past, that his, linear perspective, his transformation, once that awareness comes in, won't take as long. And I really feel like that that's applicable, not just to the meeting of the two of them, but to the third energy that produces, which I feel is somehow related or akin to that those streams that we have that are turned back on through this wild genome, right? So yeah, I really feel like we're just dipping our toe into it now. Thank you.
Yeah, you do have to have a neutral power center. So you have to balance in your lineage and in your form, masculine and feminine, the polarity, right? So when you feel you're in a catch-22 or a ping pong, that needs to be calmed within you. And I think that's both masculine and feminine. There's so much, porn patterning did not help us. I'm going to use, in terms of the masculine not being recognized. Yeah, you guys have been in a crazy program. Go get us some money, basically. Like it was no better for you guys. And yeah, so it's about coming out of all that. But I look at the wild bees. Okay, so in the current bee industry, they genetically alter the queen bee. And they also replace her all the time as if she's disposable. So just as a metaphor, they also don't really care about the drones. The drones have the genetic information, but otherwise they're useless. So that to me is like, and also it's really the queen bee. The hive is all about the queen bee. Or is it? In that is the masculine voice, the one that's in this unseen. Like we've been working and we have felt the feminine has been unseen, right? So I'm just wondering about that. I think there's a large unseen, unexplored part of masculine expression.
Yeah.
I mean, the box, you guys, if you're like a normal man, the box you've been stuffed into has been tiny.
Yeah.
And demanding.
Yeah, and I just want to interject real quick because that's a really good point. Last year, about this time, I started a men's group, a free men's group. And after 6 weeks, I had to stop it. And the reason I had to stop it is because there was a lot of victim consciousness, which is understandable. There was also a lack of, I don't want to say devotion, but I think a lot of them didn't show up consistently because of past patterns of not being confident, of being made fun of being too soft or weak, because that's a big one for the man, right? Probably the biggest psyche wound is to be construed as weak as a man by your partner, by your children, by your, by whatever. So I feel like what you're saying is correct. I haven't seen, because it's still very new to me. It's very new. My own information. I get information every night at the Bay. I go out to the Bay here, and it's extraordinary. The communions I've had especially over the last 3 weeks, and a lot of it has been about. In fact, culminated on the 21st, the solstice. There's a particular object. It's an island in the bay. It always had this one light. It would speak to me and say, "They're coming, they're coming, they're coming." And eventually, that night, these two lights appeared on the island, equidistant from the center, and then more has gone on from there. So I know that this is a real thing, and I feel like that my friend James Greenshield's from Australia, there's a clip. We put out a lot of clips, and shout out to infusedlights.com and Gregory Jones. Thank you very much for providing that for us. And he talked about the feminization of, or the softening of the male that's been pushed in this woke kind of culture, and even in the light worker starseed circles. Oh, you need to get softer. You need to get softer. There's a fire in the man that we want to keep. You know what I mean? It may talk less and may walk softly with a big stick kind of thing. But what he was saying was that because of this mass influx of that type of narrative, it produces like the Andrew Tate persona. It produces this alpha male, which we all know is hugely distorted. Okay, so I feel like that there is going to be men like James of that nature that carry this strength, this formidable presence without words, even this protector, this so on, that's going to come out of this deconstruction of these things that are not organic, that were produced by interference, to include I would say the enslavement of our masculine. By if you don't do this, we're going to kill your family. If you don't do this, you're not a good man. You got to go. I mean, just look at the last 100 years, and from a spiritual or energetic standpoint. But I do feel too at the same time that the empathy and compassion for ourselves is impacting the relationship between the male and the female, the masculine and the feminine. And that to me is another indicator of this that you were talking about.
Yeah, it's just fascinating to be speaking with a man about this stuff. For your perspective is just so interesting. I would just point out masculine as protector of the woman, defender. We are becoming visible because we are indivisible. And the guarding, the protecting of what you love and your heart, to me, that is still based in duality, which is fine. I'm just pointing this out. And what I feel like it's so interesting when you say what happened when you come together at the table with men. And that's why I get guided towards certain groups of people to call together. And it's like the person will light up and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to invite them. And then they can also say no, right? But it's like, ding, that person. And I can feel they're willing to come to the table freely and fully as a sovereign with their gifts. That's thing one. And they have a certain level of integrity. I mean, dedication, I'm going to say. They show up every week. Because literally, for what I do, I need a team that literally shows up at the sovereign creator table for 1 hour a week. And the things we have created are mind-blowing, and we're flipping the switches on right now. So we're seeing it in the physical. So, and I don't think that any of this, the patterning, it's never about one man or one human. These new energies that are coming through, permaculture, Jeff Lawton, he has a new podcast where it's like the Brady Bunch. You see 4 men on the screen, all 4 of them on the screen, streaming Eden codes, sharing from their hearts. So for me, it's about anyone at any level. You don't have to know what the hell we're talking about. Saying, I am a sovereign creator and I am going to come to the table and maybe sit with my discomfort thinking I'm an imposter or whatever, but I'm coming to the table and I'm intending to bring my gifts and share them freely and fully. And then let that unpack and then discover your brotherhood, your sisterhood, and maybe the brother sisterhood that comes together in support of that. I mean, people, To me, it's all about learning how to get out of your mind and the ping pong of opinion and sit in your heart. And because of things like porn patterning, a powerful woman who is present and flowing her creativity, I have noticed many men cannot sit in their mastery with that level of power without pouncing. And that's not an insult to
No,
men.
I get
About all of
bouncing,
standing,
bouncing.
pouncing. I work with gay men because
No.
they are
I totally get what you're saying. I totally get it. Absolutely, 100%. And I think it goes back thousands of years. But the whole porn thing, obviously, if you look at it energetically, even if you just look at us as androgynous, right? Our power center is that root. And so it would only make sense that that's where the attack would go first, the distortion, you know. And I will say too, I have heard quite a few men speak to this over the last 3 or 4 years about their addiction to it and the way it, you know, and their whole transformation as a you know, that was really from the basis of the distortion and the self-awareness that came in. It's two totally different trips, and I feel like just like having this conversation, like you said, I think it's not so much it's what's happening. These are indicators of what's happening. You know, like I'll go back to this one last thing. I go out to this place every night. I'm in my own world, and the messages have been incredible for several months. So the center. Some nights I will go out. It's called Coral Island. It looks like a breast, right? And this light would turn on at the very center bottom point. Some nights it would turn on, and some nights it wouldn't turn on, and it would talk to me. And then I started to go in and started to go into it as a portal, and I'd go into inner earth, but I always saw the light as the mother, okay? Because that's who I work for. You know, that's where I come from. You know, I don't know what happens beyond that, but that's where I live and die, right? So right after this, the two lights came, and and I basically understood they have come to the middle. You know, the Vesica Pisces is connected, and from here it's going to continue. It was a couple nights later I go out there, and it was mind blowing. There was this crazy orange fiery light that appeared for 3 nights in a row, and I still don't know what the hell that was, you know. But when I was in communion and I started, the light's on, and I looked at it and I said, and then I heard, it was like this question, answer from the light, question from the light, answer from me. It was this communion. And she let me know that night. She said, you know what? This light isn't me, it's you. And I felt like that took me full circle. In my piece of the puzzle, in this particular incarnation, there is a very masculine element to it. You know, I'm not taking anything away from my sensitivity and my femininity at all. But I know I have a certain role as much as I resisted it over time. But that seemed to take it full circle, where she said, this light is you. And when that happened, which was a few nights ago or whatever, 2 weeks ago, ever since then, the communions have been a totally different thing. Like totally different thing. It's like somebody turned the world inside out in a good way. Like you're talking about the genomes, you know,
inner
like
becomes outer.
exactly. Well,
Yeah.
that was the whole message. So, and then from there, some incredible, I would say, mergings occurring, continuing, with the water obviously being there, sending it out to the rest of the planet. You know, and I'm seeing all kinds of stuff, and I can't be the only one. So I really feel like that there's something to the coalescing of all those sisters culminating around that solstice, like right up to this conversation. there's something that's really, really substantial, that's sticking, and it's not going away, and it's not coming from out here, it's coming from out inside of us, right? And you can't F with this. I don't care.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I
So,
totally. Okay, a couple reference points. Because I work in Chinese medicine, I really look at, I have worked, I really look at the liver channel holding a lot of strife, in between the sexes, anger, frustration, the lung channel, masculine channel, and the kidney channel, the great mother, right? But that's all a limited system that we're walking out of. I want to say shout out to the monks who are walking for peace in the southern US, us, okay? They are in neutrality as a divine, multiple masculine unit walking through our lower half. So powerful for me. That made me so happy. So today is MLK Day, Martin Luther King. Milk, if you put an I in there, right? So this, I'm just going to say, this is something that I've been looking at. What if our original form was not split into gender? What if we hold both masculine and feminine on 4, 3, 2, 1 levels and beyond? What if when we bring in a higher dimensional being, it's actually being held by the neutral, balanced masculine and feminine of the whole community? It's funny because I had to do a grid for Minneapolis behind me today before this show. And I had to put Staphylos aureus 50M homeopathic for anger. I had to call it by its indigenous name because we need to be in right relation of the land, unseen becoming seen and stated. I also had to put aconite for fear. People are very afraid to step outside of the norm. And what surprised me was I also had to put lacumanum, breast milk, 50M homeopathic, onto the table because we're activating the milk of human kindness. So for all those people who are feeling caught in those dualities, back and forth, whether it be in intimate relationship, where they're ping-ponged back and forth and they're feeling abuse, or whether they're being abused by the financial system. I'm just going to take a minute and drop, if you picture all of us, all the sisterhoods, all the brotherhoods, sitting around the table, and we take hands, and we all are in our hearts, and the energy that then flows around that circle, neutral, open hearts, the milk of human kindness, an unlimited golden flow available in the now moment for every human. So that, I feel like, is our true power, and that's coming online now. Yeah, that's coming into experience now, because a lot of people are going to be experiencing their awakening and dealing with that scary stuff, thought patterns that are scary. And yeah, there's a lot of support to make it easier. Ease and grace, great intention. Ease and grace.
I think we're doing a fantastic job. I think we're doing an incredible job. The like just listening to you right now, some of those terms I wasn't familiar with. I'm like, I'm going to ask her. I'm going to ask. No, it came in. It brought
Yeah.
it created further internal alignment. I don't. It's not the strict verbalization anymore. It's a multi-frequency, a multi-stream band of communication. And we know this is happening. It's above telepathic. It requires, not in a judgmental way, but the initiations are the initiations, and the heart has to be open, and that's the bottom fucking line. Excuse my French, but I mean, that's really it. And you can't fake the universe out, and you can't fake yourself out. And now we're getting to a point where you can't fake other people out because the truth frequency is too loud, and our sensitivities are coming on. And there's enough of us that have been turned inside out that we're starting to go, whoa, we got new skin, we got new senses. It's profound. Like these dots that you just connected are just absolutely profound. You mentioned the kidney and the liver. And about a week ago, it went on for like 3 days, and I'm still working on it actually. So I was out there, and she said, oh, well, it's me, the me and her, the you, me, we, and it said to me, you don't need to go out there anymore for anything, nothing. You can go inside, you can access anything and everything that is in your perceived external. And for some reason, I was led to start with my physical organs. So I start looking at my liver, and I start having a conversation. And in that conversation, it starts out with some human advice or human, revelation, and then it went beyond. Then it went to like a connection to the plant kingdom. That was part of it, and then it went to elemental, and then there was some galactic even. I don't remember what it was, and then I did the same with the kidneys, the heart, the lungs, the bloodstream. I don't even know why I got into that, but that was the point. The point was everything is the Hermetic principle, as within, without. So what you're talking about, like this wild genome, this turning things on that are actually part of our composition, that somehow or another we were convinced within ourselves and gave consent to believe these things that aren't even true, and basically shroud our true illumination and multidimensionality and infinite nature, which is coming out now. So thank you for letting me speak, and please continue.
Oh, God, that's awesome. I love how your brain went on offline there for a second, right? You were like, wait, what was I talking about? Very normal, because we're moving out. We're moving out of a fixed thought system reality and the thoughts of the fixer, right? So it's really all about heart presence. And I love that you went through your entire limited carbon system and sat with it, because as you sit right now, the balance points are accessible, right? We used to, in our bodies, go from yin, yang, like a ping pong ball. And where's the balance point? You'd always overshoot it and then have to come back this way. The balance points are accessible, and I love that you feel the broadcast from within. Like all the information that I have on the carbon to crystalline shift, it's within me, and it's within you because we're one. So as I broadcast it, you're getting it in your body. It's turning on in your body and starting to spin, which is thrilling. So as the wild genome comes on in me and what? I don't even care, 100 people? That broadcasts from within, source to source, without distortion, and it will spread like wildfire. So all of this technology will spread like wildfire. And things like, for me, Chinese medicine is just a beautiful, what do you call that, metaphor a bunch of clues that help you piece things back together. But before I got on this call today, I don't put needles in myself much anymore, or I don't, and no one else. But I had to put a needle in my ear, 0.0 for the stomach, and so that I've been broadcasting out. I think it's for all the stomach issues out there. That's where we really struggle with the mental and thought patterning in the gut, the thought patterning that holds the surface expression of our multidimensional being. We are multidimensional, and that's coming out now physically. And so, yeah. Yeah. And the other thing that makes me personally excited is all of this you're able to experience in the garden. The genetics in the garden are coming online. So I'm just going to throw this out because it's so thrilling to me. I work on my own genetics and the wild genome, but there are, for example, what does Arcturian look like in the garden? I have no idea. But their genetics want to express and stand here with us at this time. So are they going to express through a praying mantis or through my apple tree? So these same star flows that are coming online through me to supply and sustain my form, source direct from within, are coming online in all of my plants. And that's where I watch them and play with them, right? So it's a concept that I call NEDSMET, needs met instantly. Okay, how do we turn on NEDSMET? So there's no time and space delay. Everyone is getting, oh, that's what it is, getting that cosmic mother, milk of human kindness, solar flow, direct to them from the source within. And also, sorry, I'm bouncing all over the place, but I got to throw in there, what is the solar product of humanity? So bees have honey. What do humans have? I see it. I'm just going to presence it because it's wildly exciting. It can't be controlled. It's a manna-like fluid that when our masculine and feminine are balanced and non-polarized, it expresses as a flow through our forms. I've seen it energetically, and when you see it, it's wildly exciting. Like your system's all, ah. So I'm just dropping that. I'm dropping it into actually the center point between the two tables. Bing, right there, because it is such an extraordinary and beautiful flow that is shared sexually. It's a shared sexual fluid that we have been denied access to. And I don't know if we've ever experienced it in the physical, but it is possible to start experience it in the physical. And now I'm feeling it held by those two tables, balanced, which that is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I really resonate with that. I was going to talk about the first part, but then the way you ended it. But well, I regardless of, and you might have spoke to this, but regardless of where, the universe is never stagnant. It's always evolving. In this human experience, sometimes we don't know that we're evolving, just like we've been unconscious of things that we consented to in the paradigm or the realm or the whatever you want to call it, the matrix. We're also unconscious sometimes of the level of expansion that we've had. And so I really feel like this discussion and some of the things that we've been talking about that have occurred over the past month are speaking to that. The two tables are coming together. And then when you brought up the thing about this shared sexual substance, I remember two things. One, and I'm not a Bible person, but I remember there's a story in there. They call it something about the land of milk and honey. Okay. Now
That's a code of,
right, and
yes.
I read a year ago an extraordinary. It was a historical account. It was in Europe, and there was literally this. I don't know what it was, a 3-day, 2-day period where this specific region or village or community, it was raining like this substance, and it spoke to the qualities or the characteristics or the benefits of this substance. It was like manna. It was like life force. It was like breathing. It was something. And I don't know if it was true or not, but again, like you said, this is all code. Everything is speaking to us. So why do these things come up when you're having an exchange? Because you're in this openness of original and original tech and inspiration, right? Because I know for me as a creator, that's my driver, is my inspiration. And my inspiration is rooted in my love for her, and that's really the way I see it. So we're talking about not just phasing into these things such as the group that you have with the 2 tables and some of the things you talked about. That's a very good metaphor for me, an image I can see. But we're talking about sustaining this now. We're sustaining it, and like you said, it's not going to be, nothing that the outside world, so to speak, can contend with. And it's also expanding at the same time. It's a whole different language, geometry, and it's a whole different thing. This is an exponential beyond quantum leap, but we're in the physical body at the same time. And I think the other thing I would say too, we have to kind of be careful about our experience, because at all times it's asking for that neutrality that the monks were carrying and that you were talking about earlier. And so when we look at the tech, what is the tech really? It's just another external that's been presented that's possibly, potentially have a power over us. When the reality for me is, it's really reflecting what we're trying to turn on in ourselves. We don't need these phones. We don't need these computers. We don't need the screen. It's coming, and it's just going to take. It's not going to take like the grind of 10 years of repetition to work it out. These networks are already working out. How can I be having all these shows with these sisters, and I find out from one that they know the other one, and this one knows that one, and they're all like connected? Like, there's 8 billion people in the world. How can this be happening? This is just Soulogy. It's just 100,000 whatever people, right? So there's something to that. I wouldn't be surprised if the tech faded away quickly. Like I don't know if it would be that abrupt, because there's so many people involved with this transformation, and it appears, I could be wrong, it appears there's a strong number of people that are still drinking the Kool-Aid. But let me ask you this, and whatever you want to talk about, but I'm just curious on your end, what are your thoughts on this narrative that's been around for quite some time in different forms, that there's a split, and what does that look like?
The split is only to allow people their choice of experience and to not rush people through things. I currently am experiencing a turning of the tables, a 45-degree shift, uplift, shift, and lock in. So I don't know what that is, but I am not fixing this current reality. This current reality is illusion. I am building and bringing online power grids in the new reality that I stand in, but I haven't really seen it out. Well, I do see it, but Yeah, I'm still looking at illusion apparently. So yes, it's that brings me to the point of choice. You do not need to know what you're doing to make a choice. It is very important to make a choice and then let the universe show you. So, a choice, for example, I choose to step out of the limited monetary system, which is a manipulation and a lie. I choose to retire the lender debtor relationship. Okay, I have walked that path. It's fascinating and also a shit show. But that is an important decision to make and then intend for ease and grace and let the universe show you opportunities of how to step out of that system, how to walk through your fear and step out of it. The fear just means you're going someplace new. And it will be triggered. But there's a lot of support for stepping out of that. I have gotten guidance because I can't stand cars. Cars are the worst. And people say it makes them free. And I don't believe that. I don't think having car insurance and a car payment and roads everywhere makes us free. But my guidance was, what would happen if suddenly a better technology appeared? For example, what if suddenly from within I knew how to teleport and then it spread from within through the soul network and everyone knew how to teleport? Would you ever get in a car again? If I could be in Greece by thinking of it, I'd never get in a car again, that's for sure. So I do think that we're moving at our own pace by design, so everyone gets the experience of ascension. They get to make their own choices. They get to have the experience. And that as these inner technologies come online, it will become easier and easier to let go of outside tech. And always with ease and grace. Yeah, and I myself am calling forward new ways of connecting without any outside tech. And I'm also, we just want to throw in that those two tables together, on our table, whenever there's something going on, like, oh, kidney issues, we throw it on the table. We don't need to think about it, we throw it on the table. Oh, anything, as we're talking that comes up, we throw it on the table for resolution. Stepping out of the monetary system onto the table. So now I'm seeing the two tables together. And when we throw it on the table, I'm throwing it on the combined table. Because then I can just feel things starting to unwind and the roles that each of us, the masculine and the feminine in our forms, have held, because we've been both, and how we can start to call out resolution of these old patterns that no longer serve, and then allow that information to ripple out, because there's been so much life force siphoning. That needs to stop. And that is my choice. No life force siphoning. So making that visible to humanity, so humanity can see where that's happening, calling that forward at the table for resolution, and calling forward, allowing the pure and true human genome in its full glory to shine.
Yeah. Yeah, this is well said. I mean, and I feel like there are people that understand to a degree. We all do to a degree. We've all exercised this ability when your heart mind, I call it the I am soul, the heart mind makes a choice and says no, not doing that. And I've been saying for years, this is going to come down to no borders, no identification, no car insurance, no, I'll say this because I'm not living in the country, and they come get me if they want, because I'm not scared. I've done my work, and if they want to take me out, they can take me out. I haven't filed taxes since 1999, and I was a corporate.
Come in.
I was a corporate executive with the largest company in the industry, 3 or 4 of those years. The first 3 or 4 years afterwards. Now, I remember getting a letter from the Internal Revenue, because I was making pretty good money, and I literally couldn't pay my taxes. I had a lot of financial obligations, but something inside of me. This is before technically my reawakening, right? Something inside of me said, this is BS. This isn't, there's no way this should make sense. There's no way. There's a lot of things that were happening like that. So I get this letter, it's like $175,000, and I don't got 2 nickels to rub together, right? And I remember taking that, reading it. So I obviously was tapped in. I just wasn't, in that, got kids in the house and all that stuff, so you're not really concentrated on it. I wad up the paper, and I throw it into the trash. I said, this is no longer part of my life. And it never was again. And, and I've had involvement with the government and such. Now, the other thing is, I think what's happening too, so the tech is showing us this much of our potential. That's all. It's just, look what's happened since let's just say since 2012. That's when I started doing this stuff. And that seemed to be around the time that all these groups started blowing up. Empaths and starseeds and light workers and ascension groups. But more than that, people were connecting all over the world with each other through Messenger. There were people falling in love with their twin flame once a week, every week. There was all kinds of stuff, which was natural and understandable. But there was also people starting to express with images. Like you would run into a person, you'd send them a note, they'd send you an image. And you're like, oh, wow. So energy started to become more of a physical experience. It's like you were talking about, you can start to see it. So I think the same thing's going to go on with this disclosure stuff. And you can pick many different categories, but like just say, for instance, underground transportation systems, there's a strong argument that they're there. There's a strong argument there's many, many bases around the world, underground bases and so on. The point being, getting from point A to point B can be a lot quicker than we've been told. Or you have jump rooms, or you have portals or stargates or whatever. If these things are being shown, then it tells me kind of the same kind of relationship with the tech and with our abilities. These things are going to come on surface. I firmly believe and know that we'll be able to travel freely because we will be in that state of imperviousness and or the outer or the pre-existing realm is going to fade, or at least fade for those who choose to go this other route. No harm, no foul, no judgment, because like you said, that's a big part of this too, is allow a soul to choose for itself. Who the hell do we think we are to tell people what they need to do when we're all a soul with infinite accessibility to all the skills and abilities that come with it, So I feel like that's a big part of it. I felt that way for a long time. And just real quick, I think a lot of people know Patricia Cota Robles, and shout out to her right now because I understand her husband has just passed. So healing, peace, grace, and comfort to her and her family. But I remember when she came on a couple of times a few years ago, and I remember asking her, this is probably around 2021 or something, 22, and I said to her, I've got this strong feeling that, because at the time I didn't even have a driver's license. I'm like, no driver's license, no car, no nothing, no borders, no passports. And I said to her, do you feel like we'll be able to roam the earth freely? And she said, absolutely, 100%. We're taking on the physical personification of a soul, and a soul is like the free energy, free flow of the universe. It can go wherever it wants, unencumbered, unimpeded, without interference. This is the level of frequencies or band of frequencies that we're stepping into. So I mean, these are game changers to the nth degree. It's not even the same math. It's not the same anything. And then you have on top of it, you've got this thing we've been talking about with the masculine and feminine, but look at all these children that have been coming on. Like there's story after story after story. These children are, they're untainted. They're having memories. You've got like the shows like the telepathy tapes where these, all these ADHD and spectrum and this and that we thought were some kind of affliction. I've always felt the ADHD because I know I have it. I can very much fall into it at times. I think that's a characteristic of our star lineage. I think that's a characteristic of our multidimensionality to include what we would classify as certainly a few mental afflictions, including multiple personality. Because the people I've met in those arenas can see to the other side. They just didn't fit in here. And if you look back at the indigenous, they treated those people with reverence. They let them have their own space and live in their own world. But if they needed some information, shamanic type information or spiritual information, that's where they went. So this is like mind blowing. And I just think that the way that kind of flip thing happened, that we kind of fell into as we were talking on some of those earlier conversations, that's occurred. We may not be conscious of it, but this is what I feels different. I don't feel the world is a threat at all. And I believe there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way, regardless of what's presented to us, right? Because look, once a liar, always a liar. This is a narcissistic realm. And for everything they tell us to be scared of, I will bet you on the other side of it is a connection within us, a familiarity and an original part of our blueprint that they don't want turned on, which is really, you can bring it right down to you and me. They don't want us to turn on. Because if one of us turns on, it's over, which it's already over. It's happening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's game on. Literally the light switch on. I've actually been taking the homeopathic Firefly, which is literal bioluminescence. And that came forward and was like, meshed with that frequency. I love it. I wanted to speak to, those balance tables, the balance of yin and yang and holding the neutrality. That is the ignited engine. So if you can imagine yin yang, instead of being caught on the teeter-totter, it's now an engine that we're holding that goes back. And it's turned on now. So, yeah, we don't need outside power, which is, it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. But I do know the engine is on. And that I do think, all these systems are already online and we're already using them. We are just recognizing so that we can experience them. Like when we meet at the table, a lot of us see it in a mountain somewhere. Where? I don't know. But my guidance says we're going there. We know how to do it. It's just transcosmorphology. We're taking cosmic energies and we're in our bodies moving them through systems so that we can tank those systems. I love what you said about taxes, only because we're going through that time astrologically of when the U.S. Revolution was, and no more kings, no taxation without representation, all that kind of stuff.
That's right. That's right. My friend is a esoteric astrologer, and he talked about that. He said this year, it's whatever, I forget what they call it, but that's exactly what he's talking about, which is something we've seen because the same things show up at the same time or the same season in many, many different ways. It's really happening, and this whole thing has been a shell game, or I'd say, because I'm from the streets, it's a mind fuck, right? I mean, but it's really just we're getting to the point where we're liberating ourselves from taking on belief systems based on fear and based on, rituals and repetition. We're really breaking this thing away. And I love what you said earlier about everyone does it at their own pace. Because these things, I always look at it this way. What is going with me? Judgment's not going, shame's not going, blame's not going, anger, I don't think that's going, although it might in a positive way. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's the right word, but there's certain things, like I've been going through a little bit of sadness and grief. And we've all done that. We've all had the dark nights of the soul, the many dark nights of the soul. And what happens in those moments, it's just you and the universe. That's it. That's it. And, and I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm just going to sit with this. I'm going to sit with this grief. I'm going to sit with this sadness. And a few minutes go by, the stories play out. I don't attach to them. Boom, they're gone. I feel like this is the type of, and it's crazy to think that you're going to bring on this multidimensionality, this soul characteristics and virtues in form, and that it's completed each time, each initiation, each step is completed through the mundane actions of the human being. When you hold it in the contrast of the multidimensionality. But it's true. It's the integrity in the moment. It is not bullshitting yourself. It's and obviously how you treat yourself is how you'll treat other people. It's not playing mind games. It's not shadow banning, which I'm going through now, which again, I see that for a reason. When they hit me with that on the 27th, I thought, man, this is going to hurt. It's not, monetarily speaking, it's not a huge proposition here, but every little bit helps, right? And so I knew they were going to hit me, and I thought, no, just let it go. Let it go, and this isn't me. This is the you, me, we, and it, or my soul, says, remember, this is a new world, and it's based on the energy you put out from the openness of your heart. So what more can you ask for? Oh, I love doing this. I love to be open. I want my heart to be open. I like to learn. I like to expand. I like to hear things. I like to talk to people, and we're all on to something. And so, yeah, I'm going to do this, and every day a little something comes in. And of course, I'm in Mexico, so $20 goes a long way. I can go down and get groceries for 3 days. But it's a radical, and I love what we got into at the beginning when you were talking about the two tables. It's like the switch was not the switch, but more of the equilibrium came in, and you witnessed it, and I witnessed it at the beach, and it's actually happened. So we're the echo. We're going to take a little bit longer. And there's going to be certain things outside of us that try to take our attention and distract us, which has been the same old playbook. And at some point, we're going to be done with it. We're done with it. And we're going to gain more from the final touch, touche, the human aspect, mundane, in contrast to the multidimensionality, but truly on point. The human is on point. Like this is the last one. When the human decides, it's done. So you come together with people, you emulate the collective mind and heart and soul, and you have these extraordinary experiences like you were talking about with these people that you meet with, and it's a real thing. So, yeah, this has been wild. And if you, it's 3:33 on my computer. I've seen all these numbers. You said something a while ago, and it said 1:11:11. I swear to God, right on the dot, right when you were finishing it, and I was like, whoa.
Divine.
I'd love to get together with you again. I feel like we have a lot to talk about. If you're interested, I can reach out to you, and we can schedule something for next month if you want to.
Once I start talking, I could go on forever. I mean, when the freak flag is flying, it's out. Let it fly.
Yeah. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Did.
Okay.
This was awesome. Thank you so much. So fun. So easy.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. This will be up on Facebook in about 20 minutes. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, X. And we have 2 more shows tonight. We have the Soul Jams in about 6 hours that we have every week, and that ought to be fun. And I'll have a little Soulogy daily show here in an hour and a half or so, and we'll just come on and see what we can put together. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. It's beautiful to meet you, and I look forward to collaborating with you again very soon. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Peace out. Bye-bye.